Thank you so much for coming out again. I'm sorry about the technological difficulties. Looking forward to our final session. It's the sixth of our six-part series. So if you've been able to catch the last few, I really hope you've enjoyed them and that you've gathered a lot of information that you can apply to your business and really start to achieve some real social media success from them. Um, the session we are going to be talking about TripAdvisor. At the end, you'll be able to receive these slides, and there will be a recording taking place of the webinar that's available. And that's been going on throughout the entire session. So if you missed a few, don't worry, there is a place where you can actually catch up and listen to some of the past sessions that we've had and take some detailed notes. Or if you've heard them all and you want to hear them again, you can feel free to access them that way. There's a hashtag set up for TripAdvisor session, TTCom, hashtag TTCom with Tourism Tech. If you want to tweet your heart out throughout this entire session. And then at the end, if you have any questions, as Craig said, I'll be happy to answer them. So today we're talking about TripAdvisor. And TripAdvisor really has a love-hate relationship with the tourism industry. It's disrupted the industry completely. And it's also kind of provided a lot of operators not only with headache, but also with a lot of opportunities to succeed. What we're going to be talking about today is how you can use TripAdvisor to really start to generate revenue. I think that that's one of the biggest opportunities on TripAdvisor, and also one of the things that are often overlooked. So why are we talking about TripAdvisor? Why aren't we talking about Travel Buddy? Why aren't we talking about all of these other sites? The reason is because 18 million unique visits happen to TripAdvisor.com. That means 18 million visits every month are going to TripAdvisor. This is the place where you have to be. This, as a hotel, as a restaurant, as an adventure company, whatever you may do, if it's in the tourism industry, TripAdvisor is a site that you have to be present in. There's 2.6 million reviews, and that includes opinions, recommendations. There's tons of them on this site. And TripAdvisor has found great success because they've understood the fact that consumers are much more willing to believe a review from a third party than they are an ad. 80% of travelers say that a review is important to them, meaning they are going to TripAdvisor before they make any of their travel decisions, before they make a decision around which part of the country they want to stay in, before they decide which region they want to visit, what hotel they want to stay in, what restaurants are they going to visit when they get there. They're using TripAdvisor. They're using all of these different review sites to kind of figure out and craft their own opinions before they make a decision. So what we need to do as marketers is ensure that the reviews that are happening on these sites are positive and ultimately ensure that they're telling the story that you want to tell about your business. We talked about storytelling throughout this entire this 6 session webinar series, and storytelling is still an important piece to it. The only difference is that the story that's being told on TripAdvisor is not one crafted by you. It's a story that's going to be crafted by the consumers after they experience your business. So what we need to do is ensure that those reviews are there. 50% of people say that if there's no reviews for a hotel or a restaurant online, then there's no chance for them to actually visit that place. So recognizing this, you need to encourage reviews. You need to recognize the importance of being on TripAdvisor. I mean, think about it for yourself. The majority of us, whenever we're doing a trip, whenever we're going somewhere, the first thing we do is we find a hotel, we Google it, we find their TripAdvisor page, and then we go through those reviews to see what other people are saying. What were their experiences like? And you go through this with a fine-tooth comb. You don't necessarily take everything word for word, but you do try to build your own opinion based off of the community rather than just coming up with your assumptions based off of the copy that the website of that hotel has created, or the messaging that they're putting out on Facebook, or their own kind of story that they're trying to tell. People trust people. So what we need to do is inspire the people who are talking about our brands to speak positively about them. Here's some of the 2 reviews I came across when I was doing a little bit of research for this. And you're going to get them like this. You're going to get those nasty reviews once in a while. This one says, "Can you spell nasty? Nasty. What we thought was the bellhop was a king size roach." Then the second review, just as bad. "Well, it's a cross between a hospital and an old folks' home. The bed linen is clean, but don't look under the beds. Yikes." Things like this will automatically turn a customer off from your business. And these are the things that happen on TripAdvisor that make that hate side of this relationship so strong. And operators are always talking about how they can't control this conversation, how they can't do anything about it. What I'm going to talk about today is how you can influence this conversation, how you respond to negative reviews, and how you can ultimately take a negative and turn it into a positive. The question I always get asked is TripAdvisor the devil? Like, this thing that is out there has caused so much damage for a lot of organizations that a lot of people um, aren't willing to put any investment into it. A lot of people just turn their head, they turn the cheek. They don't look at their own reviews. They just completely turn their head to it. And that's the worst thing you can do. You need to acknowledge that it exists. You need to acknowledge that TripAdvisor exists, and you need to acknowledge that consumers are going there whether you like it or not. A lot of businesses come out with the sayings that, yeah, well, you can't trust TripAdvisor. People are putting up false reviews. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because that's where consumers are going when they're making a decision between your hotel and the competitors. So by you ignoring it, it is doing no benefit to your business. So recognize the importance to be there and recognize that there is some good to TripAdvisor. These are two reviews. I would buy this place and live here if I could afford it. The bed was so comfortable, we couldn't get out of it and go enjoy the city. Things like this will also come up on your TripAdvisor page if you are offering that great customer experience. And that's really what it all comes back to, guys. If you do not have a great business, if you are not running something that is up to standard and up to consumers' expectations, and the reviews reflect that, that's on you. That's not on the consumer. That's on you to recognize, okay, maybe I do need to improve. Maybe I do need to make a few changes. Um, and when people ask that question, is TripAdvisor the devil? The only answer is sort of maybe. Um, you're going to get negative reviews, but you're also going to get positive. In fact, I believe it's 3/4 of TripAdvisor reviews are positive. Because if a person is excited and they've had a great experience, they want to show that brand their support. They want to show that brand that they actually did have an amazing time. I'll never forget, I took a trip and I had an amazing experience, and I was pumped. There was the great value. The rooms were clean. It was amazing. I had a great time, a perfect experience. And then the next day, when I was in my car, I was going to drive home, write them a review, just because I understood the tourism industry and I understood that they would have needed it. But then I started to see that I had some weird little bites on my back, and I realized that there was some bed bugs. So I didn't necessarily go home and write a negative review, but it does directly relate to kind of that experience you offer. I didn't do a negative review, I didn't do a positive review, and it was all because they didn't live up to the standard. So what you need to do is ensure that the business that you're running actually does meet your customers' expectations. Because TripAdvisor will highlight the negative. That's the other downside of TripAdvisor. As much as they promote the good, they also promote the bad. There's contests for the worst hotels in Canada, the dirtiest hotels, the hotel horror stories. They actually show the worst reviews that they've seen online. One of the reviews that I saw when I was scanning through this was this picture that someone uploaded of a hotel because this drunk guy stole her camera, took a picture with his friends, blah, 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 and then she found her camera lying across the pool, and then they just uploaded it. So this is the kind of stuff that can happen. You need to ensure that your customers are having a great experience, or it will be reflected in TripAdvisor. But again, there's also good reviews. People will put up amazing photos of your hotel, your bed and breakfast, and they'll speak to the quality that you offer. The key to finding success on TripAdvisor is to monitor your brand. You need to watch closely what is being said about your business because you don't want to show up on a list like this. In 2010, TripAdvisor launched this thing called the dirtiest hotels in Canada. And these were all based off of TripAdvisor traveler ratings. and reviews. If you click on or if you went to a lot of these websites today, the majority of them are no longer in business. And the reason why is because they didn't monitor their brand and they didn't see that travelers were straight up saying, listen, these guys are dirty, and they didn't do anything to resolve that. So, what you need to do is listen to the reviews and then act upon them. Act upon the negative and turn it into a positive. Here's another great example. Um, there's a review here, Westin Grand Berlin, and the person basically comes on. They stayed at the Westin Berlin a few times, and then what they did was they basically wrote this review saying they had bad smell, ugly furniture, a bad design. It was old-fashioned, dirty, noisy air conditioning, and not a heavenly bed. The management then recognized that this is a time for us to respond, for us to take this negative and turn it into something positive. And as soon as a consumer who's thinking about visiting the Westin Grand Berlin, as soon as they see that management's responding, they know that management cares. They know that that hotel actually lives by that concept of hospitality. And in recognizing this, they read that review and they're able to read that we are currently changing the style of some rooms, which will be our Grand Deluxe category. The rooms will be ready at the end of August this year. Something as simple as that simply tells a consumer who has read it that, okay, these guys are fixing it. They're going to improve this experience simply because they came across this negative review. If you look at the time difference between the time that the review came in and the time that the response came from management, it's a few months. And and I think what you need to keep in mind is that although it's a few months, it's still timely because that person who wrote that review is still in their mind able to remember what their experience was like when they wrote it. So when people ask me, how much time should I take before I respond to a review? Respond as quick as possible, but don't respond to something from 2 years ago because that person is no longer thinking about their experience at your hotel. If it was 6 months ago, 4 months ago, that's within a time span where that person still has memories and they still remember kind of what that experience was like. So what we need to do is ensure that we're responding in a timely manner and making sure that when we do respond, it's within a time frame that people will still have our brand and our story top of mind. One of the biggest downfalls is that only 4% of hotels on TripAdvisor actually respond to the reviews. And it's a huge loss because this is an opportunity for your brand to show the world that you actually care. It's a chance for you to show consumers who are thinking about, I'm not sure between this guy and this guy, which hotel I should stay at. But if one of them is responding to their negative reviews, that one actually cares. That's a business that cares about their customers. They care about the experience, and they're willing to resolve an issue. That's the one that they're going to stay at. So think about it. How would you deal with somebody coming to your front desk? If somebody comes to your front desk after a horrible stay, and they're screaming, they're complaining, they're saying that they had a horrible stay. The person next to them, staying in the room next to them, was loud and obnoxious. The sink had hair in it when they got there. If they were complaining about all of these different things, what would you do if they showed up at your front desk saying it? Um, there's no way that you would just turn your back around and let them scream and make a scene and ignore them. That's just not how it would work. You'd be out of business very quickly. What you would do is you would look at them, you'd talk to them, and you'd come up with a resolution. You'd figure out what the problem was, and then you talk to your staff. And that's what you need to do with TripAdvisor. It works the same way, except instead of it being one-on-one, where somebody at your front desk is talking to one individual, it's somebody at your front desk talking to an individual with everyone watching, and everyone watching forever. Because that interaction doesn't just disappear when that person walks away. That interaction is going to live online forever. So what you need to do is ensure that you're crafting a message and you're responding to these people in a way that is compelling enough to let consumers know who are reading it that your business does care, that your business actually does put their consumers first, that they put their customers first. And that's how you'll start to find success. And you also want to listen. Here's an example, again, from Berlin. And I find that in Europe, they're kind of ahead of the curve when it comes to recognizing the true opportunities that TripAdvisor hold. One example, this person had a review for the Ramada, and they basically said that this hotel had accidentally overbooked. I find that unacceptable, and I think that they should have never overbooked us in the first place. So how did the hotel respond to that? Well, they made some changes. And then what happened later on is that somebody else wrote a review, and they talked about, again, a similar experience that that hotel would have learned from. So the hotel was overbooked, but what happened was the hotel sent them to another hotel, which was also a 4 star and was approximately 5 minutes away. So they upgraded their suite after driving them back there because they made a longer stay than usual, 6 nights. And then they made sure that these people had an amazing experience. So they overbooked and then they fixed it. Versus before, when they overbooked, they just let the person be stranded. This time they sent them to another hotel and then upgraded their suite for the remainder of their holiday. That's how you take an insight that you're overbooking and turn it into something that becomes a piece of the core business in the way that you function, in the way that you operate. The insights that you can capture from TripAdvisor are insights that you can take to management and really make significant changes in the way your business operates. So keep these things in mind as you look through your negative reviews. Don't just see them as, oh, this person doesn't like us. This person has it out for my business because of one bad experience. Don't look at it that way. Look at it as this person is providing me with feedback. How can I take this feedback and be better? How can I improve my business? How can I turn my brand around? That company that I was talking about before, the Westin, the final review that I saw on this from August, a few months after, said, "Is this the same hotel that has the bad, stinky rooms?" Not ours. The location was great, the lobby was great, and the room was great. So after they went through those renovations that the management had actually responded to, they started to see 5 stars. They started to see a true result because they turned their brand around from listening. And that's how they were able to kind of go from having a low rating to improving to being a 5 star rating. I heard a few people dial in. If you are on the phone, just press *6 and it will mute your phone. So the next step on TripAdvisor is to really encourage reviews. Because if you encourage reviews, that's when you start to see those positive reviews come in. A lot of people set up their TripAdvisor pages and they just let them be. They don't promote them, they don't encourage reviews. But what you need to do is keep in mind that stat we talked about before, that consumers truly do believe that reviews are more valuable than anything else. So they're going to go to TripAdvisor regardless of whether or not you want to promote it or not. So what you can do is you can identify ways that you can promote it. And I think that the best approach is by asking. The best approach for generating honest reviews about your business is that moment when somebody comes up to your front desk and they said, "I had an awesome stay." As soon as they say, "I had an awesome stay," you should ask them to write you a review because you already know that they enjoyed themselves. So it's going to be positive. So ask them, when you get home, would you mind reviewing us? We're on TripAdvisor. And if you want, you can print off a little card like this, change the text, and then give it to them. The return on your investment for spending a couple pennies on pieces of paper with review us on TripAdvisor could be could double your business in 2 years. Simply from getting more and more reviews, you could increase your business and ultimately impact that bottom line, which is great for your business overall. So definitely, I strongly recommend encouraging reviews. And another option is by doing it online. There's a URL at the bottom here, tripadvisor.com widget embed. If you go to this URL, you'll be able to grab like kind of a review widget that looks like this, and you can place it on your website. So people can actually review you without actually going to TripAdvisor itself. They'd come to your website, they'd see this at the bottom of the page. They'll not only see what the rating is for your business, but they'll also be able to write a review for you themselves. So this is definitely something that I strongly recommend checking out because reviews are the most important thing. And at the end of the day, an angry customer can lose you more customers than a happy customer can bring you new one. So what you want to do is focus on ensuring that, one, people have a great experience, and two, that the amount of happy customers on your TripAdvisor page are higher than the amount of angry customers. So you want to optimize your ability to get these positive reviews as much as possible. So ask them to write reviews. Include TripAdvisor logos on your website. Do whatever you can to encourage people to write those reviews for you. And when they're at your hotel, when they're at your bed and breakfast, just keep in mind the simple concept of Dr. Seuss. A person's a person, no matter how small. You need to focus on ensuring that these people are having a great customer experience. And even if your hotel is not amazing and you don't have um, the latest beds and mattresses and all of that stuff, you can ensure that these people have a great experience by simply going above and beyond. And I don't really need to focus on that because that's just business 101. But just keep that in mind. And keep in mind that when you have those negative reviews and they're hurting you and you can't sleep at night because you're getting them, just keep in mind that the majority always wins. So if one person has written a negative review about your business, if you have that one thumbs down, but you have hundreds of positive, don't worry about it. Don't lose sleep over it. People can see an idiot. When an idiot is being an idiot, that's my motto. Everyone can see it. Um, so don't get all caught up in one negative review. If you have 100 positive reviews, 50 positive reviews, and just one negative, respond to it, but don't sweat over it. Recognize that the majority always wins. So when somebody's doing an analysis of TripAdvisor, they're going to look at what these people are saying. They're going to click and see their other reviews. They're going to dive in and actually do their own analysis. Trust people. Trust people to do their own research. I mean, in a lot of ways, it's similar to buying a book on Amazon.com. If I'm buying a book on Amazon and I'm looking for a book on social media and it's talking about, oh, this book is extremely advanced, it was over my head, they're talking about channels that I'm not really familiar with, I need something that's very 101, then maybe that's the book I actually want. Sure, they gave them a 1 star, but in that review, it said a lot of things that I would be actually looking for in a book. So for your hotel, maybe it's saying this place was. You might get a low rated place from a young student, and the student saying, "Oh, this place is filled with old people. Nobody wants to have fun. Everybody's just sitting in their room. It's too quiet. The community itself is very secluded. All of those kind of things. It's far from the city." For some people, when they read that review, they're like, that's exactly where I want to go. And sure, it might have been a review that was negative or what that person thought was negative. But for me, as someone who wants to get away from the city, who wants to have a relaxing time, who doesn't mind just sitting in my room and having a glass of wine, that's exactly what I want. So recognize that not all negative reviews are bad, and trust the consumers to make an educated decision around that. Now, if that negative review is talking about bed bugs, if that negative review is talking about your place being worn down, that's a different discussion. That's when you have to kind of think about what is it? Is this something that's happening on a regular basis? Are we getting a lot of these negative reviews lately? Are there negative reviews happening specifically about our people, our staff being reviewed negatively? And if that's the case, maybe you have to have a conversation with them as well. Another interesting tidbit, just another trick of the trade. I know a lot of organizations, when they create their TripAdvisor pages, they leave the same photo up on a regular basis. And these guys do a great job with their TripAdvisor page. They have a variety of professional photos, of traveler photos, and they've been able to generate a lot of positive reviews because of it. One thing that I would say is that you want to update that photo regularly. Guests want to see what your property looks like right now. They want to see what your property looks like today. So keep it current. Change that photo with the seasons. So if it's winter and I'm looking for a cottage, I don't want to see what your cottage looks like in the summer. I want to see what that cottage will look like in the winter when it's covered in snow, so I can actually jump in the jacuzzi when there's snow around it. I want to know what it would look like if I came there today. Showcase your renovations. If you've made significant changes, don't let the old photos prior to your renovations stop you from generating new customers. Add photos on a regular basis. As a rule of thumb, The more photos, the better. Travelers consume them at a higher rate than just the text. They'll look at those photos, they'll scroll through, and there's going to be a mix of your photos that you've uploaded along with those that are uploaded by guests. And at the end of the day, as horrible as it is, guests can upload some ugly photos. If I see this photo, I'm going to say, yeah, not so sure. It doesn't tell me anything. It doesn't scream out beautiful room. And the reason why it doesn't scream out beautiful room is because it was probably taken with iPhone with Instagram. It's a simple shot of a hotel, but it's very dark. It doesn't tell me much. It has the traditional curtains. I'm not sold. So what you need to do is upload photos that are compelling and interesting, and truly tell your story. And from there, once you've done that, you've created this platform on TripAdvisor that can really do the selling for you. And that's really the key. So what are some other approaches? If you go to this link, tripadvisor.com/management center, you'll notice that there's a few opportunities that exist for offline marketing when it comes to TripAdvisor. Now, your first 250 cards that you receive from TripAdvisor are free. So if you go to this URL and you connect your account, your hotel, your bed and breakfast, your restaurant to tripadvisor.com, you'll be able to get 250 cards for free. That means you can automatically get a potentially 250 new reviews. You give those to your guests as soon as they leave, and you hope, cross your fingers, that they're going to review you. They're simple reminders, and if you give it a test, just try it out. It has no cost to you. Give it a test, see what happens, and if you get positive reviews, then awesome. If you get negative reviews, then look at what your business is doing and try to use this test as a way to figure out where you can go from there. You're also able to download a flyer, a reminder flyer. So when somebody's leaving your hotel or your bed and breakfast, your restaurant, the last thing they'll see when they walk out of your door is this little reminder flyer that says, don't forget to review us on TripAdvisor and let us know how we did. So check out tripadvisor.com/management center. There's tons of offline marketing tools, but there's also online marketing tools. So what are some of the online marketing tools that you can use on TripAdvisor that will help you find success? The first piece are simple widgets. And widgets are simply a way to kind of encourage people to review your business and also give your business a little bit of credibility by saying, look, we're proud of our TripAdvisor reviews. Check us out on TripAdvisor and see that we are a business that is actually doing well. So go, again, Management Center, try out the widgets and also the snippets. The snippets are things that you can actually place on your site, and it will show people just key stats. So it'll say this company has a 4 out of 5 stars. They're number 3 in bed and breakfasts in Charlottetown, things of that nature. So recognize this opportunity and also recognize the opportunity to integrate Facebook with your TripAdvisor page. So what you're able to do is you're able to install this application on your Facebook page that is connected directly to TripAdvisor. And in doing so, whenever somebody visits your page, they're able to see, okay, this business is really supporting the idea of a TripAdvisor community. They're encouraging reviews, so they have nothing to hide. It's an authentic approach. So when they see that, they're going to be more likely to buy from you. Take control of your page. This is the first step. The first step is to take control of it and register your business. A lot of people aren't necessarily sure if this is free. It is. It has zero cost to take control of your page on TripAdvisor. And that's the first thing you need to do. Once you've done that, you're able to manage your listings, you're able to upload videos, photos, your details, your rates, all of that stuff. You're able to manage your entire TripAdvisor page. You're also able to manage those reviews. We talked about that earlier, the importance of responding to your customers. You cannot do that unless you have control over your page. So it's very important that you take that into consideration. And it's very important that you actually take control of your page. The least effective approach to TripAdvisor is to do nothing. If you're not going to engage, at least listen. At least look through your reviews and get an idea of what people are saying about you so you can fix it, so you can be better. Also recognize that once you've taken control of your page, you also have free marketing tools. And those are some of the online and offline channels that we talked about recently. But there's also paid tools that you can use, which range from everything from promotions to actual, well, more banners that you can print and put up in your hotel, more cards, things of that nature. So there's a lot of opportunities that exist on TripAdvisor, and it's really up to you to kind of take that and actually run with it. To take control of your page, it's fairly simple. If you go to the Management Center URL, which was on the last page, it's fairly straightforward. You do a quick search for your business name. I just typed in Delta, and this one came up, Delta Quebec. Apparently, they don't manage their own page, and I could register as them, but the only way to do that is if I was in their office, because they're going to call you to confirm that it's you who is actually managing this page. So you don't have to worry about that. So what's another reason to use TripAdvisor if you're not convinced now? One great reason is for the search engine optimization factor. We talked about the importance of search, and we talked about how it can affect your brand. Well, TripAdvisor is in cahoots with Google, and they're making sure that their ratings are showing up directly on that search page. So, for example, Arcona Motel. It's a motel out of Toronto. I did a quick search for them, and this is what shows up. I'm scrolling down right after their actual website. The first thing I see is Arcona Motel. I see a map, and then I see the reviews. So they have 63 reviews. They're a 2-star, and their only review from TripAdvisor says, "All in all, I tell them to shove their business where the sun don't shine." Okay, so as soon as I read that, I'm pressing that back button and I'm doing a search for another business. You need to recognize that the reviews that you're receiving are also showing up in Google. They're not just showing up on TripAdvisor. So as much as you want to ignore it, if somebody searches for your hotel name and you've received more than 50 or 30 reviews, more than likely that review is going to show up directly in Google. And that's where that customer acquisition takes place. That's where people are making their decisions. They're doing a search for your business because they want to buy from you. If they do that search and they find negative reviews, do you think they're going to buy? It's very unlikely. So what you need to do is recognize that and ensure that the reviews that are coming in are positive. So you want better reviews? How do you do it? There's 3 approaches. You can encourage them. So tell people after they visited you, here's a card. We'd love it if you would review us on TripAdvisor. Encourage it. Let them know that you're open to this idea of receiving feedback from their customers. Second, respond to them. If you can respond to customers, if you're actually showing that you care, it's as simple as saying thank you to somebody who wrote you a great review. I mean, think about the amount of time that they would have put into actually writing a 500-word review about your business. If you can't take a few seconds to just say thank you for your review, then clearly you don't care that much about your customers. If they're willing to put in a 1,000-word review and it's negative, you should at least show your customers enough respect to respond and say, thank you for the review. We're sorry that you had an experience like this. We're looking into it and we'll get back to you. If you want to send me a direct email, contact me here. I'm happy to figure out what happened wrong and how we can resolve that issue. Finally, go above and beyond. Take it to the next level in terms of your customer experience. Make sure that the people who are reviewing you on TripAdvisor, the people who are coming to your hotel, have an experience that is above and beyond the normal kind of expectation of what they would see. And you'll see the benefits, guys. You'll see the results. You'll start to show up at the top attractions. You'll start to show up at the top rated restaurants. And what you'll find is that if you can show up in these top kind of categories, you'll start to see a huge spike in business, because a lot of people, when they have little knowledge about a place, they go to TripAdvisor to kind of see where's that must stay restaurant, where's that must stay bed and breakfast, where's that must visit kind of tour. What are the things that I have to do? And don't be ashamed to flaunt your stuff. Like if you're receiving these travel choice awards, here in Nova Scotia, we had one for bed and breakfast. Flaunt your stuff, guys. Like show it, promote it, put it on all of your creative. Highlight the fact that you're doing well, and it's the people who have chosen you to do so well. Flaunt your stuff if you're receiving those 5-star ratings over and over again. and encourage them so you can show up on these lists. Because all of these lists, whether it's bargains, bed and breakfast, hospitality, restaurants, cuisine, anything, all of these are based off of traveler reviews. So if you can encourage those traveler reviews and you can start to see an increase in the amount of positive feedback you're getting, you'll find success. Um, what I also want to talk about quickly is just a great way to start generating revenue for your business. And that's TripAdvisor forums. TripAdvisor forums is one thing that I've been trying to speak to a lot of operators about, and something that I think many people don't know about. TripAdvisor forums is a great way to make a sale. It is a great way to get one person or a group of people directly into your place on the drop of a dime. So let me explain how this works. So people go to the forum section on TripAdvisor. Once they're there, they ask questions. Their questions could ask for help with driving itineraries for the first week of October. Their questions could say, where should I, what restaurants are the best restaurants that I have to visit? I'm a foodie. All of those different types of questions get asked on the forums. What you need to do as a business is jump into this conversation and make sure that you're a part of it. So if somebody's asking for help with their driving itinerary, you're going to ensure that your response is going to have them going to your region. And if you want, maybe say, hey, when you're going on this driving itinerary, feel free to stay at our hotel. Visit our place. We're located here. We're close to a hiking place, blah, 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 that kind of thing. So identify what conversations you can jump into and influence them to be a part of yours. I'm going to quickly show you just TripAdvisor forums on the site, just so you can kind of get an idea of what's going on right now. So if you go to the Nova Scotia TripAdvisor forum page, you'll see that people are asking, where are some off the beaten track areas for photography? If you're in a region, if you're in Sydney, if you're anywhere, you can jump into these conversations and encourage people to check out your place or to take photos in your area. And in doing this, people are able to say, wow, these people actually know a lot about their province. They care. If I'm going to Cape Breton, I'm staying at a place that's responding to even my questions in Lunenburg, because I know that once I get there, if I'm a photographer, that these people are going to be the ones who can actually ensure that I have that great experience. Here's somebody asking something about the Cabot Trail. There's 23 replies, so there's tons of conversation happening here. Bakery, so they're asking, where is there a bakery? People are asking for opinions on potential itineraries for a trip to Nova Scotia. Your brand could be jumping into this conversation and telling them your itinerary should be within my region. And hey, you may as well stay with us as well. There's tons and tons of pages of conversations and questions coming from people who are about to visit your province. Camping in June. There's 5 days in Halifax. What should I do? You want to respond to these questions. You want to get in there and ask and influence their purchasing behavior so they can actually buy from you. So this person's probably here now. I'm going to Halifax at the end of September for a conference, but I am going to have 5 days of holidays as well. This is an opportunity for you to jump into that conversation, say, hey, I'm an adventure company. Hey, I'm a restaurant. These are 5 things that you should do. You should check out this, you should check out that, but you should also check out our restaurant. We have a great brunch menu. I think that you would have an amazing time. This is an opportunity for businesses all across Atlantic Canada, all across the world. And it's an opportunity that not a lot of people are taking advantage of. And it's one that I strongly recommend considering and utilizing to your advantage. From there, you also have to keep in mind that mobile is truly changing the game. And that's why I strongly recommend every brand being on TripAdvisor, because the majority of people in North America, when they travel, they're traveling with their mobile phone. They're using their mobile phones to make traveling decisions, purchasing decisions in the matter of seconds. So what you need to do is recognize this and use it to your advantage. Have those reviews set up on TripAdvisor so you can find success. That's the only way that you'll be able to get the spontaneous purchases from consumers. If I'm in New York and I pull out my phone and I'm looking for things to do, and your brand is rated 112 out of 252, it's not great. But if Zip Aviation helicopter tours is something I'm interested in, all because of TripAdvisor, I know that this is the helicopter tour company that I want to go with. So it's something to consider, and it's something to recognize as another reason to be there. And mobile is disrupting not only on TripAdvisor, but other channels as well. There's things like Foursquare, there's things like Yelp, there's food spotting. There's all of these different things that you need to recognize as potential opportunities for your business, but it does really depend on your business. Um, Food Spotting is a app that's built directly for restaurants. So people go on, they take photos of their food, they upload it, and they give it a review. Everyone has been there before. Finding food in an unfamiliar place can be extremely difficult. Whether you're traveling in a new city or just wandering around in a neighborhood that's close by, deciding where to dine is not easy, especially if you're alone or with friends who don't know where they're at either. So with websites like Yelp and TripAdvisor and Food Spotting, they're making this knowledge easier. They're sharing knowledge about where you should eat, and it's all based off of traveler reviews. So what we need to do as consumers is recognize this opportunity and see that there is something here that you can use as a marketer, excuse me, um, you can use as a marketer to generate new sales and new revenue. Now, before I wrap this up, I want to tell a story that a few of you may be familiar with and you may have heard before. And this is kind of a wrap up to the entire kind of 6 sessions that we've had. And the epitome of this all dies back to kind of a cake that I created probably about 3 or 4 years ago now for my anniversary with my girlfriend. Now, I baked this cake, and as you can see, it wasn't the prettiest cake in the world. It was our anniversary. I wanted to do something new. I was running out of ideas. Now I know that jewelry and flowers always work, but I was running out of ideas, so I decided that I was going to make a 4 course meal. So I had the appetizer, I had the entree, the coffee, all of that stuff was made. It was delicious. We had asparagus, a perfect steak. Things were delicious. But then the cake came out, and the cake was a disaster. And the reason why the cake was a disaster was the same reason why so many businesses have a hard time with social media. I looked at this cake and I felt as if I was a failure. I felt as if I failed. Um, and after thinking about it and after thinking about why I failed, I realized that the reason why I failed at baking this cake and making a good cake was similar to the reason why so many businesses in the tourism industry and the in business in general are failing at social media and online marketing. Um, the cake tasted like a blend between, you know, that taste when you brush your teeth and then you eat an orange and it's like a tangy, disgusting taste in your mouth. It tastes like that. I don't know why. I still don't know how. But there was some type of chemical going on in this cake that caused it to taste that bad. And the reason why is because the process is extremely similar to social media. When you start, you have to start with a goal. So recognize what your goal is for using social media, for using TripAdvisor, for using Facebook, for using Twitter. Start by understanding what it is you're trying to accomplish. Are you looking to increase the awareness of your brand? Are you an already popular brand and all you're looking to do is build a community and increase that relationship you have with your customers? Identify what it is you're trying to accomplish. Once you've done that, the next step is to identify the ingredients. So, what ingredients are going to allow you to best achieve that goal? For me, when I was creating that cake, I decided that I was going to use Splenda instead of sugar. That didn't make sense. Looking back, it didn't work. Making the decision, or not making the decision, but not knowing that baking powder and baking soda were different, led to my cake turning out the way it did. You need to identify what ingredients will work best for you, what ingredients work within your time spot, which ones will allow you to find the most engaging conversation with your customers. Is blogging for you? Do you have then enough time to create a blog? Maybe you should only be using Twitter. Maybe you have the face for YouTube and you should be creating videos and recording videos of people who are staying at your restaurant, at your hotel. What type of ingredients will go together to allow you to reach your goal? From there, you need to develop the recipe. And this is what we've been talking about over the past few sessions. We've been talking about what strategy will work best for you. Are you going to be someone who is completely focused on sparking conversation and engagement on Facebook? Or are you going to be someone whose complete strategy is around engaging and going above and beyond that customer experience? If so, TripAdvisor is somewhere that you need to be. If you're focused on brand awareness, Facebook might be where you need to be. Identify the recipe and the strategy that works best for you. And once you've done that, once you've kind of figured out what approach you're going to take, are we going to simply educate people? Are we going to engage people? Are we going to be an entertaining brand? What is the story that we're going to tell? You have to actually do it. You have to get messy, you have to get into it, and you have to actually give it a try. Um, you can read as many blogs, you can listen to as many webinars as you want, but if you're not willing to actually step up to the plate, start planning, start putting in the time, putting in the effort, you're going to get nowhere. I've been talking about this stuff for probably 4 years now. And a lot of businesses are still in the same place. Guys, the train is about to leave the station. If you're not jumping into social media, if you're not jumping into online marketing today or tomorrow or within the next few months, you're going to miss it. The opportunity to actually be a part of this thing and actually leverage it is very small. So jump in, focus on telling a compelling story and having it cohesively told across a variety of channels. And don't stress, because if you can still remember the fundamentals of business, which are that amazing customer service, remarkable products, and excellent value, you will win. You will be able to find social media success. That's still the core essence of what this thing is and what you need to do. Um, and primarily, when you look at TripAdvisor, the reality is in the hospitality business, it's still all about caring. In the tourism industry, it's all about caring for your customers and putting in the hours to do it. And if you're able to do that, you'll be able to go from making a horrible cake to making something as beautiful as that. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you've enjoyed the webinars over the last few weeks. It's been a blast. And if you have any questions, happy to take them in the question box.
See a couple there in the queue already, Ross.
Great. When I looked up Fairwinds Motel, I didn't see us as an option. Let's give you a quick search. I don't think that's you. Sheet Harbor, maybe. I think this is you. If it's not, please let me know. If this is you, basically what you have to do is go to this page. Then there should be a claim button somewhere here. Ah, here it is. If you own, so you would just manage your listing by clicking this. I think that's you. If it's not you, I apologize. I hope it is. Marie, what is the difference between the business listing, which you have to pay for, the free listing that you are talking about? You don't have to pay for any business listing on TripAdvisor. The free one is really what TripAdvisor is. They're all free. You don't have to pay to actually be listed. What happens is consumers create your content if you haven't done so already on your own. I'm not sure what the paid listing would be. To my knowledge, they're all free. So the Manhattan skyline, they wouldn't have paid to have this set up. It would have been just created from consumers, and then they would have had to actually claim it, like I just showed Pat, and they would have owned it. Him from Coastal Homes. Can you delete bad reviews from TripAdvisor? You can't, no. The only thing that you can do is respond to them. And I think that that's a good approach. The negative reviews that you received over the past few months, weeks, years, whatever, are always going to be there. The only way to get rid of them is to prove that it's a competitor who's writing them, or prove that it was an illegitimate review itself. So if somebody's on there writing a review and it says, I don't know, the city is ugly, that has nothing to do with your hotel. That has nothing to do with your motel, your cottages. That's something that you could probably push out to TripAdvisor, and people would be able to, they might be able to delete it for you. Question from Lynn. Bookings.com and Expedia, etc., have taken over TripAdvisor. I purchased the business listing yearly, but I'm now considering not paying $500 to do so. Thoughts? I know what you're talking about now. So I think that what you need to do there is evaluate from your insights and analytics whether or not you're actually getting a return from this business listing. This allows for the transactions to take place on TripAdvisor, um, where they can actually where people can buy room stays through you. I did talk to a few operators. I think it was in New Brunswick, and they were explaining that they saw a huge spike in their bookings since they kind of had this listing. So for you, I think you need to evaluate whether or not you've seen a significant return. Has this been the busiest year ever because you bought this business listing? If it's not, then I'd say it's a good question to have, and you'd have to consider it based off of kind of um, the dollar spent versus dollar earned. That would be these. Yeah. So I'd say again, it comes down to whether or not you think you're receiving the revenue from this. Um, these include special offers. It shows mobile, how integrated it is for that, the video options, all of that stuff, and the increase in exposure. But if it's not impacting your business, guys, it's time to decide whether or not it's worth it. Um, I'd say it's really up to your kind of accountants or your bottom line. So do the thinking, see if it works, and if it's not working, kill it. Sarah, how is it best to respond to a negative review posted by a friend of a client that used our venue for their wedding? The client was happy and had a great wedding day and felt as if they were treated fairly and everyone was happy. Um, the best approach to responding to a negative review is to try to turn it into a positive. So if someone writes you that negative review, you want to respond by saying, thank you for your response. We're very appreciative of it. Um, we wish we could serve you better. We'd love to serve you again and show you that we can do better. Things like that. It really depends on kind of the experience that they're complaining about or what they're actually saying is negative. But once you've done that, once you've showed the community that you are willing to respond, the best bet is to leave kind of the manager's name and say, happy to chat with you offline. And I think Jamie just wrote something in there about that. But if you can take it offline afterwards, that's great. Peter, is there removal timeline for reviews, example after 5 years, or do reviews simply stay up there? They just stay up there. They do kind of they do kind of dwindle down. So the more reviews you get, the um, the less prominence of an old review will have on your page. So if you have 100 reviews and a good 30 of them were written in 2004, those aren't going to be read that much by consumers. They will impact your overall score, but the weight, similar to what we talked about with EdgeRank, will not be as high as the most recent review. So a lot of businesses, what happens is they've been on TripAdvisor since 2006. They received tons of negative reviews. They were about to go to business, but then they switched their business around. They were able to create compelling content. They were able to improve their experience, and now they're getting 4 stars. Because of that, they're able to see their score go up because the more recent positive ranking will have a higher weight than an old negative ranking. Denise, is it tacky to ask your Facebook community to review you? Not at all. I think it's all in the copy that you write. One easy way, I'm doing this off the top of my head, but you could basically say, um, hey guys, thank you for liking us on Facebook. We've reached 300 fans. We're always striving to get better. If you could write us a review on TripAdvisor, we'd really appreciate it. We love you guys. Something as simple as that. It's happy, it's exciting, and people will more than likely actually respond and write some reviews for you. But you do want to make sure that the people writing your reviews aren't your aunt, uncle, cousins, daughters, and nephews, that they're actually people who stayed with you or ate at your restaurant before. Still unclear as to how to claim my property space. Um, Grenville campus. Let's see. I'll do a quick search. So, so the difficulty that you're going to have is being a university. Um, As a campus, I don't know. Let me see if if you're on TripAdvisor, you have to kind of just find that TripAdvisor page. So, for example, this is a hostel or a hotel. Basically, for these people, what they would have had to done to own this is they would have scrolled down to the bottom of their actual listing and clicked Manage Your Listing. So find your page and then click Manage Your Listing. The toughest part that you're going to find, Marie, is that your property place is named after a university, so it might not actually be on TripAdvisor. Craig, we're offering. What's that say? One operator said others were offering discounts for reviews. Any comments on that? Um, Two things there. One, I don't think it's legal from Facebook's perspective. I don't think that, not from Facebook, TripAdvisor's perspective, if they found out that they were giving offers and kind of incentivizing people that way, it might be um, it might be against TripAdvisor's regulations and rules, because you're incentivizing people through kind of a bribe, um, which isn't necessarily ethical. The other approach that I think that opens up is if TripAdvisor catches on, they can kind of shut that down. The best approach to getting reviews is to ask. You won't lose sleep over it. You don't have to worry about getting shut down. I'd strongly recommend taking that approach. Just ask people. I think somebody had a comment here that they put cards in the room with a couple of mints. That's exactly how you do it. You chuck a mint beside a bunch of cards. It's simple, it's easy, it's not a bribe. It's just a nice kind of gesture to say, we appreciate you as a customer and we want to hear what you think about us. Ross, I have a bed and breakfast, tea room, and gift shop. I have been with TripAdvisor, Facebook, Twitter as 3 different people. I have Hootsuite to manage between them, and I suffer from multiple media personality disorder, as many friends and family say. Should I have been host 3 business instead of 3 different businesses? Um, that's a tough one. I think it depends on the brand equity of each. So if the bed and breakfast itself has a great brand and a lot of people come just because of the bed and breakfast and not because of the tea room or the gift shop, then the focus would be on the bed and breakfast. If your tea shop or your tea room, excuse me, is the bread and butter and is the cash cow and that's what people are coming for, then that's what you want to focus on as well. If you're in a situation where all 3 are popular and all 3 are booming, and people see them as their own brands, then you want to keep it separate. But if one is kind of the overarching brand itself, I'd focus on that because you don't want to have a variety of different pages when they're all essentially on the same location, within the same building, that kind of thing. But if they are different, then if they're different brands, you definitely have to still keep them separate. Our location has a number, our services, museum, kids' birthday parties. Is there any way to divide up your services? I believe you have categories on TripAdvisor. So, let's see, where would that be? There used to be categories. It's not now. Hotel event. Yeah. So you would fill that information in here. And I think there's a section where you can check off kind of all of the different things, and these different icons would show up. So if you have all of these different amenities, you check them off and they show up kind of like free high-speed internet, and all of those other things. Question from Bird Island. Another local B&B on TripAdvisor has a header that reads number 1. Oh, that's interesting. Number 1 B&B in Elliston. If they are the number 1 according to TripAdvisor, then they are the number 1 in Elliston. Find out what you mean here. So I know what's going on. So they have more reviews. Basically, if you list yourself as Elliston, there's only, there's 2 hotels. So it's one versus the other. What happens is whoever has the most positive reviews, they end up showing first. They have more reviews than Bird Island, therefore they show up as number one, and because of that, they're ranked the number one hotel in um, Elliston. Sorry about the pronunciation there. It's all because they have 8 versus 4. So all you have to do if you want to become number one, get 5 people to write reviews, make sure they're positive, and you're the new number one. Think that's the only that was the last question. Um,
I think it was, and there was quite a flurry of questions there, Ross. Obviously, TripAdvisor seems to be a hot button topic for a lot of people, and we kind of knew that anyway. Ross, thank you very much for the last 6 sessions. It's been excellent. The feedback that we're seeing through TT.com has been just phenomenal. And I think some of the feedback you're seeing on the screen, people are loving your presentation, and we're so very glad to partner with you and with Color to bring these webinars to tourism operators in Atlantic Canada. And thank you to everybody who participated. It is a bit of a leap of faith for many people. I know a couple of operators I spoke to, I'm new at this, I don't know if I should try this. And after a little bit, they became comfortable. So we're very pleased that people took that leap of faith and decided to join us in the webinar series. Again, I apologize for the email issue today. It is something beyond our control, but nonetheless, it is our responsibility. So I'll be the man and take it right here on the hands for everyone today. It was a technical issue, and we're hoping that it is resolved. We are hoping that we will have it resolved in time to send you out a survey. So we do ask that you take a little bit of time and answer the survey, give us your feedback, because we do want to make this a standard part of our programming, and we need to know the good and the bad and the ugly on this so that we make things better. So please do look for that email and take some time and fill it out. Again, just a reminder that TourismTechnology.com does have other programming, one of them being the mentoring session. So if you do want to get in control of your technology plan, make contact with one of the TRCs, and we'll be more than happy to help you out. Again, I want to thank our partners in this, the province of New Brunswick, the province of Prince Edward Island, province of Nova Scotia, the province of Newfoundland Labrador, the TIAs, TIA New Brunswick, TIA Prince Edward Island, TIA Nova Scotia, Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador, and Tourism Atlantic ACOA. I think this has been an excellent series. We look forward to seeing you in other venues. If anybody is attending the Atlantic Canada Showcase this weekend or next week, please drop by. T.com will be there. So thank you very much all. It was an excellent series, and we look forward to seeing you again in the near future. Thank you.